Hey there, so today we have another review. This is a beer from Evergreen. So, thank you, Jeff, by the way, who sent me this box, or this beer. Um, I actually geeked out on the Treehouse first, but he actually sent me this beer because of Evergreen, or the box because of Evergreen. So, Evergreen is out of Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. This is their IPA, hazy IPA. I don't know why it's called 1,000 Galloping Camels. Cool name. I believe this beer is Simcoe and Waimea, which is a New Zealand hop, 7.2% hazy IPA. He really likes this brewery, so always excited to check out new breweries. I've never heard of this brewery before. It's pretty cool. So, beer comes in a really nice kind of light gold color. Pretty hazy. I mean, like, there's no clarity of that. That's murky hazy. So, full on haze. Yellowish kind of like light head on the, or, pale white head with a little bit of yellow hue on it. Good looking beer. Smells hoppy. Oh yeah. Ooh, yeah. A lot going on here. First thing I get is obviously, the hops, obviously, but I get a little bit kind of like oat wheat, kind of like creamy malt character. Definitely some myrcene, a little bit of that kind of like green piney dankness. A little bit of a thiol, yeah, maybe a little bit of thiol combining with the pine. So like it's a really nice, smart kind of combination of like the fruity, like a little bit fruity Simcoe too, but also the Waimea has that kind of like New Zealand thiol thing. Yeah, a little bit of that gooseberry, a little bit of Sauvignon Blanc, grapefruit, white grapefruit zest, a little bit of peach pineapple in there. And the fun thing about Simcoe sometimes is that um, you can pick, well, depending on like how they grow it, obviously, but you can pick for Simcoe that is actually meant for like West Coast IPAs, which can be like pine sap and dank resin, blah blah, like classic kind of Simcoe notes. But the one that really intrigued me was I think Grim, one of their beers early on before with a contract brewing. Simcoe actually can be very very fruity. It can be a freaking delicious hazy IPA. Hop. They were making like Grim style IPAs. I don't know what to call them back then. They were basically juicy IPAs. That was what I call them. Like they weren't necessarily hazy and thick and chewy. They were just juicy beers. So like sort of what I think like Alchemist is so unique for that reason. Like it's not really New England style. He's just making a beer that has very expressive hop character and the thing he's looking for. Grim had a thing they're looking for, which is like just peach rings and juicy, candy, fruity, without being like it did not look like this. Let me tell you that. So this Simcoe here, I definitely smell a little bit of hopper now. Like it has that like green vegetal thing. So we'll see how it goes in the palate. But this beer has a good amount of fruitiness to it, and I suspect a lot of it's from the Simcoe, which has this kind of like here it's like tropical and stone fruit. A little bit of peach, a little bit of pineapple, but quite orangey. And I actually would have guessed this beer had citra in it. So quite fruity. Cheers. Okay, yeah. Pretty solid hazy IPA. This is what modern hazy IPAs taste like these days. I will say, without the off flavors. Like, I almost got it. I was like, oh, another one of those. But it does everything without that. So it's like, but it pushes all the way, right? So it smells like Neo Hazy IPA. I think Hazy IPA had a thing going on with it for like early ages, but it's transitioned to like an exaggeration of styles, and I think that American breweries sort of do that. And this is an exaggerated hazy IPA. It is so thick. It's 7.2%, thick, chunky. It looks like it too. Creamy, a little bit sweet. It's still pretty good. It's pretty good. It's a little bit chalky. I will say that. That's the noticeable thing, though. Some of these end up a little too chalky and a little bit too hop burny. The cool thing about this is that it has that flavor almost of hop burn, but then it cuts off. It has that chalkiness, but doesn't like last and linger too long. So the exaggerated versions like push way too hard and they're literally undrinkable grass chalk water. But here up front, you notice fruitiness, yeah, for sure. Big ripe oranges, a little bit of pineapple. They call it Tangelo on the website or something. I don't get all the. I mean, I forget what the tasting notes are on the end tap, but I don't probably get all of them. Um, they call like a fruity candy thing going on, maybe. I can sort of see that. I can see a little bit of like peach ring thing going on, but not too much of it. A little bit of like a gummy worms kind of fruitiness candy thing going on. But as you see, it's actually quite drinkable. With these really nasty hazy IPAs, like the really exaggerated ones, I can like, excuse me, sip at like 0.5 ounces at a time just to review for you guys and then dump it down the drain. Here is actually like creamy, rich. Yeah, it's a little bit exaggerated, right? Like big beer. At 7.2, boy, I would have guessed this beer was 8.5. A lot of lingering citrus flavors, yeah. A lot of like orange peel, orange pith, quite citrusy, tropical citrus too. So I think Tangelo is a good call. Like it has this kind of like pineapple, not quite passion fruit, but like a tropical spin on citrus. Maybe not quite as exotic as yuzu, but tangerine, clementine, blah blah. Like a extra to just straight navel orange, right? But certainly a good amount of navel oranges in here. Yeah, and then there's a little soft stone fruit in here. I get a little bit of what is it? Apricot for sure. Huh. And then has a little bit of chalkiness in the middle, but not too much. For sure, a little bit lacking in bitterness, but doesn't linger with the polyphenol thing, which is great. None of that green grassy chewy thing on the back end. I taste that. I smelled it, and I taste a little bit up front, but it goes away quite nicely. And then you get on the back end maybe a little bit of chalkiness, but the beer like glides off a little bit nicely. It's just on that edge, a little bit more too chalky, a little bit more green to grass green polyphenol, hot burn thing. Yeah, it pushes on these really wonderful elements of like new age hazy IPA or New England IPA that can push for all these elements, but it just does it just enough. Like again, when I have those beers, I think they're undrinkable, worse all flavor. Like I wouldn't sell it. Like I taste that at a brewery. I'm like, you can't sell this. It's disgusting. Here, it's just right at that beautiful edge where it's like you get all the beautiful parts of it, right? Because the chalkiness accentuates sweetness, accentuates mouthfeel, chewiness. The hop green thing really helps balance out the fruity sweetness and the residual sweetness of this beer. Having that green quality is sort of your take on IBUs and bitterness, but you obviously have not put in that much IBUs in this beer, or at least relatively. So these are balancing elements that are actually important in making a great hazy IPA. And it's sort of done here. I just dialed it right enough, right? It just so many breweries just can't. I guess I can't taste their beers and can't figure out how to balance those things out to sort of make a balanced, tasty beer. It's a balanced, tasty beer. I actually like it. It is exaggerated in its flavors. It is quite sweet. It is quite fruity. It is quite fluffy. It doesn't really have a balanced bitterness to it, but there are elements that make it work, and that's what we're looking for. Balance is all contextual, right? Like, how was balancing on two legs is very different from balancing on one leg, right? Like, balance is contextual. Like, what is balance? Like, I can balance this can on the table, but if I try to balance it on this, that's pretty cool, right? So balance is contextual, right? What is balance? Like, where is the balance? What are you doing with balance? What context are we in balance with, right? So when people say balance, I don't know what that means. Like, what are we balancing? We're balancing a hazy IPA here. We're balancing something that is going to be exaggerated in flavors, fruity, sweet, fluffy, big mouthfeel, a lot of kind of like adjuncts to add the oat and wheat, blah blah. But here we're making a beer that's actually quite drinkable, delicious, and where I can actually like take a solid swig and wow. Actually, as this beer warms up, it's actually gotten quite nicer. I get a little bit more candied fruit flavors. I get a little bit of like candied strawberry. Definitely now I get a little bit more red fruit. Definitely some strawberries, maybe some cranberries are a little bit tart. I'm gonna say cooked and very ripe strawberries. I also want to call the citrus again. A little bit of candy fruity characters, but what candy fruity characters? Ripe pineapples definitely coming in here now, like Dole, big ripping pineapple. And again, that really nice kind of green polyphenol things coming in just to like offer an edge and a counterbalance, right? Counterbalance is where you get balance, right? When two things are, going like this, fruit versus the green polyphenol thing, freaking delicious. This beer is really good. Golly. For me, I probably prefer a little less polyphenol bite as a hair, and then maybe a little less residual sweetness. I find the beer just a little sweet, a little bit cloying. But outside of that, this does all the cool things that hazy IPA can do, with exaggerating it all the way without being, all flavored, really tasty. World class beer. That's a solid 97. That's not 97 world class beer. That's really good. 1,000 Galloping Camels. Until next time, guys. Cheers later.